Welcome back, y'all, and happy Thursday. This is the Bluechip Breakdown. I'm your host, Bull. It's time for our news, notes, and thoughts from day 6 of spring practice. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Helps us out in a really big way. There's a lot of people that are still watching that aren't subscribed. I know that some of y'all might not, be logged in with YouTube and all of that. That's fine. But if you are logged into YouTube and if you watch us on a consistent basis, it helps us out in a very major way. If you do, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. But man, we got some news and notes today. We got a couple things that we will get to. Obviously, we heard from Coach Martinez. We heard from Andre Turrentine, Dominic Bailey, Bryson Eason. We heard from J Mac, and I think that's it. But we're gonna get to some of my takeaways from what they had to say. But we're gonna start off right here with our injuries and excuse me, man, this daggone pollen's killing me. But start off with our injuries. So if you look up at the top on the left-hand side, Miles Kitselman, okay, he didn't practice today. I don't think that he even showed up for practice, at least not for the portions of time that people were actually out there to watch it, just like as far as the media and all of that. Sounds like he won't be back for the rest of spring. I have no idea what happened. Hopefully he is going to be fine moving forward. So I definitely wanted to highlight that just because if it's a situation with whatever he's dealing with, if that lingers, obviously that's gonna hurt Tennessee's tight end room. The good thing about it though, y'all, is that we've got a very deep tight end room. All right. So and I'm not trying to scare y'all whenever I say that. I'm just telling you what I read. All right. So outside of that, I think that we had another name that was added on here. Okay, so it looks like the freshman Campbell. He didn't sound like he was doing like some kind of like bike work. He wasn't really practicing today. Don't know what's going on there either. That's a room that obviously we don't want to lose anybody from our tackle room. We need all those guys, especially him, because I think that he will play a lot this season. I don't think that there's anything serious because he was still moving around and all of that. You're just going to be overly cautious whenever it comes to spring practice. I say this every single day. I'm always going to say it because someone is going to see this stuff or hear this stuff and start to freak out. But I think that that's pretty much it. Just as far as anything that's new, it's the same. It's the usual suspects. Same people that have been missing time have still been missing time. So let me get to some of these chats real quick. From my dog Fuzzy saying go Big Orange, good day, go Vols. You already know. From Andrew Sage is saying where's Ari on Carter? Where's Ari on Carter? Let me make sure that I'm reading that right. Oh, I'm sorry. Where's Arion Carter? I'm tripping, y'all. So Arion Carter, he's not going to do any spring stuff. All right. I'm not quite sure what's going on with him, but we knew that coming into it that he was going to miss spring, most of spring, if not all of spring. He might come back towards the end of spring, but he is expected to join us for fall camp. I mean, that's really what we need these guys at. Listen, Arion Carter, he's a vet. We don't really necessarily need these vets out here for spring practice. It's the same thing that you see with NFL players. It's not quite apples to apples. It's because they've played for longer. They're obviously better at what they do. So they don't necessarily need, like a spring camp or, like what's theirs called? It's something. The same thing that the NFL does, that spring camp, that's what college does. A lot of the vets don't really do that. It's more for the newer players. So it's not a big deal. All right, I see that you got that fixed. That's my fault, man. I'm tripping. I don't know what's going on. I definitely should have got that. So from my dog Timmy G saying it's going on, brother. Huge week for the Vols. Yeah, we got a lot of things going on. So tomorrow, obviously, the basketball team is going to be playing versus Kentucky. That's a game that I still feel very confident with. I'm sure most of y'all probably do as well. Looking forward to that. We're going to try to do a pregame show. It's going to be different. It's because it is on a Friday, but we're going to do our best to get that done. Let me also get, okay, so right here, Fuzzy is saying OTAs. That's it. Okay, my bad, bro. Yeah, so OTAs. You don't see a whole lot of the veterans in the NFL doing that. That's more for the younger players. So it's not a huge deal. All right, so we got that out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of my notes, okay? I'm going to pull this up for now. Okay, we can just kind of start to watch some of that. But I'm going to go through some of my notes from what I took away from Coach Martinez. So number one, he says that Ricky Gibson has been elite in the offseason, and he's grown as a leader. That's big. Using those types of words, that tells us a lot about what Ricky Gibson is doing. Now, I've been a little bit hard on him. We don't get to see all the clips. We only see limited clips. But it looked to me like he was being a little bit lackadaisical, going, kind of like going through the motions. It's good to know. It's good to hear that from Coach Nez that, he's stepping up and he's doing some really good things. And I probably should have known this because typically cornerbacks, especially veterans, you'll see them, and I don't want to say going through the motions, but they can get up whenever they have to get up. I just want to see a little bit more strength. So next thing is going to be, he says that McCoy will be back, and I think he's saying he's going to be like twice, I guess, twice the leader of what Ricky Gibson was or is at this point, or that's what he has been. So that's good that he's still locked in with this team. Obviously, whenever he can't do anything physically, it's good to know that he's still stepping up as that vocal leader and things like that. So he also kind of pointed out that he's looking to find 3 to 4 cornerbacks, or the team is looking to find 3 to 4 cornerbacks, 4 to 5 safeties, and 2 to 3 stars. So I think that those numbers, that might stand out to, some of y'all. I think some of us, as we're going through spring camp, who's going to be the 3 to 4 cornerbacks, who's going to be the 4 to 5 safeties, and who are the 2 to 3 stars. So he also said that he really likes this entire group. He said that, that these new guys are coming in, they're really prideful, which is good. He talked about him winning state championships. I know he's talking about, he's talking about Ty, he's talking about Dylan Lewis, because Milton, I think they're coming off of back-to-back state championships. So I don't know about the other young secondary players, but either way, that's a good thing. You want for the guys to be very confident. And he said that he said that they made mistakes today, which is expected. Again, he's talking about those younger players. That is expected. But I think that they're going to be fine. I feel like he's got some confidence in that entire room. And he said that they've been working all the guys in with the first string, with the second string, and with those threes. Now, I've noticed this too, as I've seen some of the clips on Twitter and in some different places. I saw it was one that came out maybe today or maybe it was last night where Brazel was catching, and it looked like Redmond was guarding him. Now, what I love about it is that, number one, we need for Brazel to step up. He's catching a touchdown pass on that one. But also seeing Ty Redmond as a true freshman, the type of coverage that he showed, he was in really good. He was in a really good spot. Now, he didn't finish, but he tried to make a play on the ball. That's a young guy. He's only going to get better. So those types of things, that looks good to me. He also talked about Boo's been putting in a whole lot of work. He said he's one of the first people inside of the building, one of the last people to leave. You hear coaches and players say that all the time. But I think that it probably is true, because we heard it from some other players too. And he's also saying that J-Mac has been working some at Star, saying that Dylan Lewis, and he also talked about Trey. So those are the guys who've been working the most at Star. He talked about Caleb Beasley moving to safety. He said that he's going to get cross-trained at Star, but it sounds like safety is more of where Caleb Beasley is going to be at. Obviously, he came here to play corner. I think that he can still play corner. But for me, looks more like a safety body, looks more like a star body. So that's pretty much what we got from Coach Martinez. Now we heard from J-Mac, and he said that the young guys are picking up a complex defense, is what he called it. He said that he likes all of those young guys. He's stepping up as a leader, just like Coach Martinez said. Jalen said that he's also working at Star. He says that Boo has become more vocal, and he talks about winning a championship. I want to hear everyone that comes up there and speaks. They need to find a way. Talk about winning a championship. That should be everything that we're doing, should be all about winning championships. So I love to hear that. We also heard from Kobe Thomas. So Kobe Thomas said that he's feeling a lot more comfortable. He's having more fun. Whenever players are having fun, they're going to play a lot better. I love to hear that. It's kind of also, to me, it sounds and feels like the game is slowing down for him. What else did he say? He said that he doesn't think that the defense is tough. So this is something I think we talked about either in yesterday's video or in the stream on Tuesday. But for me, a lot of this stuff, like football stuff, it's really common sense. And it's good to know that he's one of those players. Obviously, there's going to be different terms and all that, but it's still like, for it to be sound, it's just common sense. If you know football, it shouldn't take you long to get acclimated to any system. So I'm happy to hear that. That's a great thing. The safeties, they got to know what the heck is going on. What else did he say? He said that the room is really close. He said that Caleb Beasley looks really good playing at safety, talks about his hips. Typically, you'll see in all secondary players need to have really good hips, but cornerbacks are going to have the best hips. Having a guy that started off playing at cornerback, moving him to safety, like we talked about, that should give us a lot better man-to-man coverage at the safety spot. So I was happy to hear all those things. We also heard from Bryson Eason. He talks about uplifting those uplifting young players. That's the way that he wants to lead. Is, hey, look, come on, you're tired, I'm tired, everybody's tired. but this is what the standard is here, and we got to keep on pushing. So it's good to know that there are some guys that are probably like lay more into the young guys or into the new players. But then you got a guy like a Bryson Easton. It's more about, hey, I'm gonna try to pick you up and love on you. So that's a good thing for me. He also said that he wants to maximize his last season in college. This will be his sixth season. So he's a guy that I felt like could have got drafted in this year's in the 2025 draft, but in 2026, if he comes out and does anything near what he did last season with some more film, he should be a guy that definitely gets drafted. I'm proud of Bryson Easton. I'm proud of his growth. Just listen to him speak, and it's starting to get to the point too, y'all, where whenever these guys graduate, I start to feel sad. I don't know if y'all feel like that too. I haven't met most of these guys, but I'm gonna be really sad whenever Bryson Easton leaves. So he also said that he really likes the young guys. So let's get to Andre Turrentine. So Turrentine said that he thinks that this is the most important time of the year because you can work on different things. You can really get the small things right, that's huge, especially just to hear him talking about that as one of our vets. He said that Kobe Thomas is learning the system very well. We kind of touched on that. And then we also heard from Dominic Bailey. And Dom says, he talked about the same thing that everyone else is talking about, all these veteran guys just being that leader. It's funny, too, because we're hearing some of the young guys talking about being leaders as well. But that's always a good thing to have a whole bunch of leaders and not a lot of followers on your team. And he said that last season was so successful with his room, with the guys on that line, because they were like family. So those are the notes right there as far as what everyone had to say in the post practice press conferences. All right, so let me get to some more of these chats. This is from Andrew Sage, is asking, have I heard anything about Boo and some offensive packages? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so he's been working. I think, in that first week, we know for sure that he has been working on offense. Not quite sure what the packages are, but I mean, I'll just tell you, I'm sure that they're going to have certain packages where they're doing different things. And P and I will try to get to breaking down the pistol offense, how we think that that's going to look. We might do that on Saturday. It might be earlier. It might be a little bit later. But either way, we will break things down a little bit more there. I do think that, hey, look, I think that we're all going to love it just because this offense has been way too vertical, not enough gadgetry to it. Now we have to add those gadgets because we've got young wide receivers and we've got a new wide receiver with Boo. I think that's going to help everyone out in a major way. So for my dog Timmy G saying that he thinks Kobe Thomas will make a big jump this season, I do too. I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, I think that the safety room is going to be a little bit better than people might be giving it credit for. All right, so let me go ahead and pull this up. Let's get on past the injuries. All right, so let's talk about the safety room first, since we just kind of got done talking about some of the secondary players. Well, like we said, there's plenty of bodies here. I think that all of them look really good. We talked about that earlier today. Just looking at the way that they're built, they're long, they're lean, but they're muscular, and they're playing with a lot of pop. They're playing with violence. Something else that I'm looking out for whenever they're going through these drills, the fundamental stuff. You need to show some violence. You need to show some pop, and I feel like they're all doing that. So we'll see what happens. The first scrimmage is coming up on Monday. That's when we'll really know. Hopefully, we can get some really detailed notes. I wish that I could find a way to get up there. But either way, I feel good about the safety room up to this point. So as far as cornerbacks go, right? Feel good here. It's interesting to hear that J-Mac, he's been he's probably going to be our starting cornerback whenever the season starts off, right there next to Ricky Gibson. It's good for me to know that he's also working at star. What that tells me is, whenever we have all of our starters back and he goes back to like cornerback number 3, we can trust him playing at star behind Boo Carter. That's going to give him more opportunities to play on offense. So that's a guy that we trust there. And whenever he was coming out of Temple, I think like all the clips that I saw of him, he was basically playing star. He was playing nickel. So he's comfortable there. He's definitely physical. He looked really good last season, just as far as his run fits, and it looks really good with that. So I love that, man. It's a whole lot of quiet versatility. We just got to see who else is going to step up, because we're still looking to start the season off. We're going to be looking for a 2, and we'll feel a lot more comfortable with 3 more guys. It's a whole lot of youth here. Will we go to the transfer portal? That's the biggest question. If those young guys step up, if they can show the consistency, and I think it's going to be more about knowing what to do and being in the correct spots. That's what this staff, especially our secondary coaches, they look more for those types of things. And I feel like they'll probably be able to answer that bill. So we'll see. Also, I can talk about about Trey Poteet. I think that this is who Coach Martinez was kind of highlighting, where he said that he didn't want to, give him too much early on. I don't know if that was him or if that was Dylan Lewis, but either way, he wants for people to kind of get settled in before he cross trains them too much. All right, so let's go on. Let's talk about the star room. We just kind of touched on this. It's still very interesting to see what happens with Jordan Thomas. We probably won't know that until we get closer to the season, still a few more months. But, I like all these guys. We've got a lot of, I think, good quality depth. We've got some young depth, but we've got some very talented players. So as far as the defensive tackle room, all right, right here, let me go ahead and pull up these clips while we're kind of talking about this. So the first thing, like we talked about, Campbell is he wasn't really doing anything today, but we didn't get to see a whole lot from these guys, right? So these are the tackles outside of Jordan Ross, and we talked about it earlier. Like, why is Jordan Ross working with these tackles? And as I'm going through and getting the stuff ready for this stream, I realized, like, once we get to that Leo room, you're gonna understand there's only like 2 or 3 Leos that's been going through practice. So they probably put them over there just to get them reps. But I like what I'm seeing right there. Something else too, with listening to Bryson Easton and listening to Don Bailey speak. It sounds like, and I mean, I could be off on it, but it sounds like Don Bailey's going to be playing more defensive tackle than strong side end. That to me is a good sign. That's what we kind of wanted to see. I haven't seen him physically, like with his pads on and any of that just yet to see how much weight has he gained. But if he's gained a little bit of weight, he was played at about 300 last season, so he wouldn't really have to gain too much weight. But if he gains a little bit of weight, then we know for sure that this staff wants him to play more at tackle. That just adds more depth to that room. Could we still go out and maybe get one from the transfer portal? Of course we could, but I don't think that you necessarily want to have to do that. I feel like a lot of the resources will probably be going more towards like cornerback. That's probably cornerback or star secondary players. That would be probably like the first place that this team would probably look. Well, I'm sorry. That would be the second place. Wide receiver for me would probably be the first. All right, so let's get back. Let me get back to let's go on to the next room right here, y'all. So Leos. All right. So this is what we're talking about. There's only 2 guys that are 100% healthy. That's going through drills. So I can't wait for more guys to get healthy. But from what we've seen, Jordan Ross has looked really good. Joshua Josephs, he's looked really good in all the clips. And actually, you know what? This is the thing. Because P and I, we watch as many clips as we possibly can of spring practice and all of that, just like I'm sure most of y'all do too. But I haven't seen any clips yet of our guys on our line beating our offensive line. I've not seen that yet. That doesn't mean that it's not happening. This means that I haven't seen it. So that's something for us to watch out for. And looking at this room, that could be part of it. It's not a whole lot of bodies. But, I also think that you got to be very careful with how you're splitting up reps for those guys. Okay, so as far as the, strong side ends, let's see. I feel like it was somebody else that we put on here. Okay, so yeah, just Campbell. I didn't really get to see a whole lot of them today. But if it is true that maybe Don Bailey's going to be playing more at tackle for us, Tyree West for sure. I mean, he was really good last season. Him, the other Tyree, he's got to step up. But some of these younger guys, Kellen Lindstrom, Carson Gentle, Marion Dow, whenever he comes back, they have to step up. We're not just going to put Don Bailey over at tackle for most of the game if we don't have enough depth at this position. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't move him back and forth, but that's something else for us to watch out for. Okay, now we're at the offense. Okay, so now we can start to talk about what I wanted to get to, and I'm going to bring this up for y'all real quick, just so that y'all can watch these clips. First and foremost, I love this, that these guys are, throwing in some different body angles, different arm angles. Love to see that, but we were able to get some confirmation. Now, I got this from GoVols 24/7 Sports. They said that Tennessee was running the pistol offense in some like red zone situations. Sounds like we were doing some, like boots. Okay. That's something that I don't know. I mean, we may have done it a couple of times, but whenever Tennessee runs boot, unless it is in that pistol, which Tennessee has run some pistol before, but I think that we're going to run it a lot more this year. But, whenever we have kind of run those boots, it's been like a weird, like it's not a real true boot. One of the things about the pistol that we are going to get a lot deeper into in a different video, but one of the things about it is you can get more downhill runs, the ball fakes, you can hide the ball a lot better. And It's going to make our quarterbacks look better as far as being NFL prospects. But I just think, kind of going back to one of the points that was made earlier about Boo, has he been playing offense? And, I think someone may have asked, will we see some, packages for him? Yes, I think that running an offense like the pistol offense, where it's a lot more similar to like a pro style, just as far as a lot of the schemes and things like that. But you can use players as gadgets. The motions, the pre-snap movement, the different route combinations, tightening up splits. I think that's something else that Tennessee definitely wants to add. It's not going to be an all the time basis, because the premise, like the base of this offense, is about spreading teams out. That's what we're supposed to do, or that's what Coach Heupel likes to do. But you can't always do that. You've got to be able to mix it up. So having an offense that can run tempo, that can go from just being like a spread shotgun to being maybe like a tight set pistol or a wide set pistol with pre-snap movement, and with multiple tight ends, with zero tight ends, with multiple running backs, which is something else. Pistol, you can have multiple. There's just a lot of things that you can do with it. So I don't know exactly what type of pistol we were in, but again, P and I will kind of dive into how we think that that's going to end up looking for Tennessee in 2025. But I think that that's something that we should all feel great about, right? Like, if this offense gets going, it's almost impossible to stop. Go back to 2022. The defense was average. The offense was outstanding, and we were really good last season. Offense was kind of average. I said that our running game was, it was better than average, but defense was outstanding. I think that we'll be able to have both. We're going to be able to have a really good running game, a really good defense, and also have a really good passing game. That's where Tennessee's like that. And I think that adding some of these different sets, some of these different wrinkles that we've already, actually heard some of the insiders talking about, speaking to, I feel great about it. All right. So also with the quarterback, it sounds like Nico was just super sharp today. I mean, obviously, you can see him here. Looks really, really good. Sounds like Merck had a very nice day. It sounds like GMAC looked even better. So happy to hear that. We already know that we got a whole bunch of ballers inside that room. I'm not worried about quarterback, y'all. I'm not. I know that some people, people are making videos on it and all that, which is fine. I'm not knocking you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do what you got to do. But for me, now, quarterback is a total non-factor. And the pistol formation is what Nico was pretty much born to run. Like, I feel like anything, but man, pistol, like I said, you can look back at what Cap did with it, and you can multiply that by probably 2 or 3 with Nico running. All right, so now let's talk about running backs. Like how this room looks. So we saw them doing a lot of routes coming out of the backfield, and we're just kind of looking at that, but we'll pull this part of it back up. So running backs looking good coming out of the backfield here. Right there's Bishop. Now, I didn't like that break. That was, I don't know if they wanted for him to kind of slow it down to get his footwork right. I don't know, but that was a little bit too slow for me. But looking at these next ones, man, that was probably the only rep that I wasn't like, hey, man, like this looks great. Like, look at that. Justin Baker, really, really good hands there. And actually, he's looking big. And who is this right here? Is this, okay, so that's Star Thomas. Star Thomas looks very good, looks very natural. But one of the things about him is, and I'm not knocking him, but I'm just saying, for me, it looks like he's not as big as I thought he was at first. He looks like average size inside of this room. And that's probably more of a compliment to the other players than anything else. I think that, listen, Morris, he looks really good. Like, look at how thick he is. That he's looking really good. I was not expecting for that young man to get up to this point this quickly. I'm very impressed with him. So I just think that from top to bottom, this room looks really good. You know what I'm saying? We've got a lot of guys that are versatile. Now, the pass pro needs to get picked up. It hasn't ever really been great, with Coach Heupel, but that's something that, like, we're going to have to get that figured out. Something else, whenever we start to switch up running pistol, running just like different sets and all of that, we can start to, hey, we're going to use our running backs to run some routes, which is what they're doing here. And these are option routes. They can go inside or outside instead of, leaving them in there to daggone block. Because if they go out on routes, linebackers, safeties, whoever might have been blitzing on that play, they're going to probably have to pick them up. If they don't pick them up, then we've got easy dump off. And all these guys are, look at, ballers, So that's a way that we could definitely make you pay. So let's go on to the next one right here. All right, let's talk about the wide receivers. So I didn't really get to see anything. None of us saw anything from the wide receivers today, I don't think, unless I missed some clips. But what I did hear is that Chris Brazzell Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, all of our probably starting wide receivers scored a touchdown today. Sounds like they all looked really good. I think that might have been in some red zone situations. They've been looking good in all the clips, not just that we get to look at, with what we look at in the practice clips and all that, but with the stuff that we see on, Vol Twitter and all of that. They've looked really good. I'm impressed. They look confident. They look comfortable. They look calm. Like I feel like wide receivers, one of the biggest things is to be able to play with speed, but to play calm with a low heart rate. I think that our guys are doing that. That's going to help you out in those really big moments. So, again, it just wasn't 2 else right there, but I thought that was a really good sign. Also, wait, let me go back to this real quick because I forgot to say something. Something else that I've heard from every outlet that I looked at today, they all said that the freshman wide receivers, Travis Smith and Rara, they're both looking really good physically. Now, obviously, we've seen them. They have looked very good. But if there was ever a season where it's like, thank God that we got some really good freshmen wide receivers, I think that is this one. We definitely needed that. And that's going to help us out. I can promise you that. Like, if they come out, if they have a really good season, I think we're off to a good start with 2026 as far as the wide receivers that we have brought in or that we're bringing in at this point. But I think that it's only going to get better as people start to see how good the young Bucks, these young wide receivers, look inside of Tennessee's system. And I think that the staff is starting to get that. So those are good signs for me. As far as tight ends go, didn't get to see them go today. All right. Like we said, Miles Kitselman wasn't out there. Doesn't sound like he's going to be doing anything for the rest of spring. Hopefully, everything's fine there. We need him back for fall camp. I think we're going to need him this season. But again, we're in a much better situation for this to happen this year, even as opposed to last season. Last season, I mean, listen, that room was pretty deep. It's even deeper now. There's some young guys in here, but I think that they're physical to the point that that's what you really worry about with these young guys. Obviously, they have to know what to do. They're all smart enough. I think that they're going to get that part of it figured out. But are you going to stick your daggum face in there, okay, and try to really, bully ball somebody? That's what Tennessee's tight ends do. If the young guys can show that, along with Ethan Davis, we know he can catch passes, run routes. He's a mismatch nightmare, okay? If they're all physical, we're going to be fine. Again, we want Miles Kitselman back, but I feel good about this room. All right, so next, let's talk about the linebackers. Man, I love this room. just look at these clips, y'all. I mean, just look at Jordan Burns there. My goodness, that's about as good as that's how you wanted to look. That is my prototype linebacker. He looks really good. Just lean, long. I could say the same thing right here about Edwin Spillman. I mean, we've got so many guys. I think that JT's looking good. I think that Bolton's looking good. I want to get to the clips here with the freshman Brendan Ames. He's got to pick up his physicality some. Right here, I think that this is Greer Short. He's a walk-on guy, but he's been here for several seasons. He looks good. I mean, heck. All right, so now watch this. This is as good as it's supposed to look, y'all. This is prototype, and I'm very impressed with a guy like Ben Bolton right there on that left side. I'm very impressed with him as a walk-on player. How much better he's gotten, compared to like last year. Coach Inge is a hell of a ball coach. So look at this one here. So this is when Brendan Ames. Let me go back just a taste, right? So Brendan Ames, right? He's still a freshman. Okay, you got to be a lot more violent than that. You know what I'm saying? And it could be a situation where the coach will say, "Hey, we don't want you to, kill anybody." Look at this guy here, Edwin Spillman. Now watch him do this same drill. He was a guy that last season the coach said, "Hey, look, we got to pull him back." Like coaches will, they'll like say, "Oh, slow down and all that," and they'll, make you do some up downs and all of that. But in the back of their mind, they're like, "Oh, hell yeah, like that's my boy." Like that's what you want. You want for the guy. You'd rather have to pull him back than have to push him out there. So that's all I'm saying about Ames. Do I think that he's going to be fine? 100%. He's going to be just fine. But it's something for us just to kind of take note of with these younger players. You got to get used to that physicality. Once he gets there, he's going to be, I think, a really, really good player. You can see that the speed, the length, the size, all that's there. Just want to see a little bit more physicality. So that's how I feel about that right there. Now let's get back to what's the next one we got. So offensive tackles. I got a couple of notes here. It's not too much. It's because we didn't get to see them today either. But it just sounds like Lance Hurd and Bennett Warren were working at left tackle today. Now keep in mind that these notes that we're getting is not, they these guys get to see several periods, but not the entire practice. So whenever they were out there, Lance Hurd and Bennett Warren were playing at left tackle. Larry Johnson and David Sanders were at right tackle. Yeah, that's I think that obviously at right tackle is going to be a long battle. It's interesting because Bennett Warren, I think he might have been 50-50 left tackle, right tackle last season, but he's a guy that, I feel like he could definitely do both. And we got to see David Sanders, at least I would like to see David Sanders getting some reps at left tackle some too. But he's got to learn that right side first, and we'll see who ends up winning that battle. But look at all these bodies. I wish that I had some clips up here just to show you. If you haven't seen these guys go to work just yet, that's a great looking tackle room. That's about as good of a tackle room as I've seen on a college team in a long. Like, they look like NFL tackles. They sincerely do. You know how NFL tackles, they're big, but they're not sloppy. I mean, these guys are big, but they are not sloppy. They look very well put together. So needless to say, I'm very excited about that room. So let's go. Let's talk about guards. Didn't really have any notes here, but looking forward to this. Is another really deep room. Looking forward to seeing how this whole thing plays out. I'm sure that it's going to be Wendell Moy at left guard probably, and then you're going to have Sam Pendleton at right guard. But who's going to be behind him? Sounds like up to this point it's been Shem Umarov at left guard. And it sounds like Jesse Perry maybe is working at right guard, right there behind Pendleton. So we've got some guys in there that I really like. We've got some good looking bodies. Let me get to the next one. Centers. I think that Sat's going to get the start. You know what I'm saying? I think that this is something that coaches have kind of hinted towards without straight up saying it, but they're like, obviously everyone loves Cooper Mays. And I'm not, this is not a quote or anything, but I'm just kind of paraphrasing. But, obviously everyone loves Cooper Mays. We're all going to miss Cooper Mays. Really good center for us. But I don't think that they miss him in a negative way, right? Like, they miss him just because, we daggum love Coop. But it's not like we don't have players that can step up. I think that William Satterwhite is going to surprise a lot of people. And folks will continue to go back and forth on who's going to start at center. For me, it's no real question anymore. It's going to be William Satterwhite. And then, excuse me, behind that sounds like Max Anderson and Nick Moore, but we still have Sam Pendleton who can play there, and Jesse Perry. That's as deep as that center room has ever been with Coach Heupel. And I think that right there is actually it. So what I'm going to do, man, is we'll pull up some more clips. Actually, I'm going to go back to this secondary, man. We'll pull up some more clips that I want to get to. Do we have some more clips in here? Oh, excuse me. Let me start this thing back over. All right, boom. All right, so let's see. Do we have some more chats in here? All right, so from FS, he's asking about Jermod McCoy, saying how's his knee? I don't know. I really don't know, but he's still. I would say, y'all, if we hear about him doing some movement at some point in fall camp, then by that third game, and I like when I say movement, I mean like out there kind of running around, going through drills and stuff like that, really running. If that happens over the summer, I'd say probably wouldn't happen in June. If it happens in June, that's great. But in the months following that, if we start to hear about it, he's going to be playing. He should be playing by that Georgia game. And excuse me, if he's not, then I'm not quite sure when he's going to be back. But I would expect it. He's probably going to be back like in the first quarter of our season. And from Vols guy, Fo saying, "Go big orange." You know it, man. Thank you for joining us. And from my dog G White, what's going on, G? Saying GBO. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So that's pretty much it, man, for all the news, notes, and thoughts. Like we said, it is a big deal for me that the offense is we're trying different things. We've got to try different things, and that's going to make it deadly. Like we have to play more into Nico's strengths. We all know that he's good from the pocket. I mean, he's incredibly accurate from the pocket for the most part. Maybe not as much down the field, but on the run, dude. I mean, he's throwing some passes that are just unbelievably accurate, and that's one of the harder things for most quarterbacks to do. So I like the I like the thought of more of the boots, more of the rollouts, more of the sprint outs, get him outside of the pocket. That's going to help the offensive line out too. It makes his reads easier, but that's where he thrives at. The threat of Nico's legs, along with his arm. I'm just going to tell you, man, and this might sound crazy, but I think that he could. I think that he's good enough. If we really play into his actual skill set, he's good enough to by himself, almost by himself. This is a playoff team. That's how good I think Nico can be whenever we play to his strengths. So obviously we've got a lot of really good players on our offense. I think that we're taking a step forward on the offensive line. We talked about that. The running back room. Yeah, I think it's maybe like a push. Obviously, we don't have a Dylan Sampson that we know of. We don't think that we have one. But I would say that running back room is probably just going to kind of be like a push because the running backs always look really good inside of Coach Heupel's system. And then, I think that the tight ends, that room's deeper. I think that the wide receivers may be more talented, maybe a little bit more dog. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some guys that are just young and young and dumb. Obviously, I'm not calling them dumb, but just not really understanding too much what the situation's like and just going out there and just playing free. That helps you out in a major way. So, and then they're also really hungry. So I feel really good. And, I think that Tennessee is going to have a hell of a year. But that's it for today's stream, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will be back with you probably tomorrow. I think that we're back to spring practice on Saturday. Obviously, we got a lot of good things coming up for our volunteers in different sports. But please, y'all, if you enjoyed this content, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.